I'm Caroline Staton. I am the admissions advisor and student advisor for the professional legal Spanish program at SMU. And we're so excited to go over some of our course content with you today and answer any questions you might have. We will go ahead and just give a quick overview of the program, introduce you to the instructor, go over the learning objectives, how to apply, and then if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the question box below. So this is an 8-week program. You'll meet with live online classes on Thursday evenings, and then you'll also have some self-paced online content that you will complete at home on your own as well, in addition to those live online class meetings. We do have a language requirement for the program. You should have at least 1 to 2 semesters of college level Spanish, or if you're a heritage speaker, you'll do well in the program. If you need a refresher course, we have a good one linked right there. And if you have any questions, please just reach out to our team and we'd be happy to speak with you to make sure that it's a good fit or give you some additional links to go through and brush up on your Spanish skills. And now I will introduce you to your instructor, Mira, who will give a little bit of a background on herself and how she came to teach at our program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miroslava Detcheva, and I go by Mira. And creating this course was inspired by my own professional and personal background. I studied, initially I studied at graduate school. I studied international relations and diplomacy, but I've always been interested in law and pursuing a legal career. And so while I was going to law school, a bit later after graduate school, I also was working at the same time, and a little bit quite the crazy idea to, go full-time almost to law school and then work full-time. So my initial career has been in Latin American studies, combined with proficiency in language and linguistic studies. And while I was going to law school, I was also teaching at SMU, and I attended SMU Law School. And so usually, I get the question, oh, well, that's strange. Well, I don't think it is, because my first degree, my graduate degree gave me an understanding of the Spanish-speaking world. I traveled throughout various countries. I met with people, learned about culture and history. And then I've always had that urge to continue my studies and get a degree that will give me some practical tool to do things that otherwise I won't be able to do. So I always kind of knew that I would go back to school and go to law school. And my inspiration to go to law school was because I wanted to work in the area, in the field of immigration and immigration law and migrant studies. And so being fluent in Spanish really helped me later on, once I graduated and became licensed, to be able to connect with clients that needed my services and so on. And also while I was working, I've noticed that sometimes attorneys would express to me how they wish they were more confident when it comes to their Spanish-speaking skills, or that they had studied for years and years, but they could never really apply what they studied, and they just were not confident enough to really say, well, yes, I studied Spanish for 5, 7, 10 years, but I actually cannot use it in the office. Like, I would not put it on a resume. So I was kind of like seeing this a lot. And then, or also there will be, some heritage speakers who grew up listening to Spanish, but they never really took formal classes. So the legal at the office, when we talk about, dealing with legal issues and having to be really precise, that could be sometimes, also a problem, just being confident enough. And so all of this, for years, I was thinking, oh, I hope one day that I can combine what I know about the legal profession, being an attorney, practicing, and then having all these years of practical experience teaching and learning about pedagogy, and actually knowing how to teach another language to a group of people that did not grow up teaching it. And so initially, I really thought that this would be only for non-native speakers, attorneys or legal professionals who what we, as we say, they're non-native speakers, and just kind of like teach them very in the legal context, teach them how to improve their Spanish speaking skills, or just Spanish skills in general to work. And then surprisingly or not, a lot of heritage speakers have been really interested in this course and actually took it, which at first, I was surprised, but then I really enjoy it right now, because when we've had our initial cohorts, we will have, non-native speakers that have only taken, a few classes of Spanish, but really want to use it in their legal practice. And then we'll have a heritage speaker that grew up listening to Spanish, knowing it a lot, but they wanted to formalize it. And all of these individuals, professionals, kind of like merged in that one group, and they were teaching each other and learning from each other. And it really strengthened the course. So initially I was, a bit skeptical, of how can I have these two different types of people in the same course? But once I went through several groups, I could see that it really works, because each one contributes with something different. And so the idea is to really guide these because I understand all the legal professionals, what they go through, because I've practiced in a high volume legal practice. I worked alone on cases. I worked with very small boutique firms. And I understand attorneys, paralegals. I understand the stress that they go through. I understand what it means to work with a client and your legal responsibilities. And at the same time, I have formally taught language for many years. And worked with people from all over Latin America for many years. And so I have the credentials and I have the knowledge to know how to transfer that knowledge. It's not like that I'm, let's say, a native speaker and I will start speaking Spanish and I assume that everyone understands how to pick up and be able to, use that information. No, what I try to work on is the mechanics, explain the mechanics to someone that doesn't use Spanish every day, and then use all of this, apply everything we learn about the language in very specifically around tasks that they will do in at the office. And so it's very practical. And then of course we work a little bit on precision, since it's a if you're an attorney or paralegal or not anyone that works with clients and have to help with important issues, well, we have to make sure that we work on precision, because we don't want to get anyone in trouble. So I think my background of being, teaching languages for many years at the university level, and also my practical experience of a licensed attorney that has worked using Spanish, completing legal tasks, I think it's the perfect combination. And so I was just really excited to try to create something that will help others.
Yeah, I think that's what really sets our program apart, is the experience and the expertise that you're bringing and you're passing on to our students. So I think that is fantastic. We're going to go ahead and
one thing that I quickly want to mention before I forget is that before I suggest, before this program was created, I've researched programs at law schools, and specifically law schools or just in general. And what I've noticed is it's normally 99% of the time, unless it's some quick credit course, is for at the law school, at any law schools, would be for heritage speakers that are already very confident in the language, that they have advanced knowledge. So it's always like, yes, we have Spanish for attorneys or Spanish for the legal profession, but the prerequisite has always been, and I always read, you need to be already advanced, like pretty much that's your first language, or it's equal with English, and they just read or do things. So that's not what this is about. I'm not expecting someone that comes here fluent or advanced. I'm helping people that got stuck somewhere along the way, and they feel like they cannot get out of that place, and they could never, no matter how many years they studied the language, they could never be confident enough to do anything at the office. So that's what, how this is, that's the, I would say, the greatest difference between this course that SMU is offering and every other law school that has a Spanish program for already individuals, law students who know Spanish.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But speaking of which, would you dive a little bit deeper into what students are actually doing in the class? We mentioned before that we have the live sessions, so kind of what they'll be doing in the live sessions, as well as what the self-study content looks like as well.
Yes, so there are 8 modules. Module 1 through 7, we're learning new things, and I will go in detail. And then module 8 is the final portfolio, where we recycle a lot of the skills, and then we had like a final presentation, speaking, and that shows like the skills that the student has developed. So what students do is they would go through some video lectures of the important, let's say, grammatical concept that I'm trying to explain to them that we're going to use. So for example, if I want to prepare them how someone that is not confident enough to have 10-minute conversation with a new client, right? When someone approaches the office and they, for whatever reason, you either want to, just right away connect with them, or they don't know English. But that doesn't have to be the case. You can have people, clients that know English, but maybe prefer Spanish, whatever it is. I think in Dallas, we know how important it is to be able to just say, hey, we can communicate, this office can communicate in Spanish as well. So let's say that, you're preparing for that meeting, whether you are assisting an attorney or you're the attorney. Sometimes attorneys want to be able to communicate directly and not rely on interpreters. So I think ahead of time, okay, what's gonna scenarios, what would that person need to be able to know? All the to be verbs, like what in Spanish are to, right? Ser, estar, some like very important present tense verbs that they will use in the present tense initially, extracting basic information. So like in the first module, I was like, okay, it's super important that they know all the question words, that they know how to structure a question and be very confident at how to ask a question. And so I build up to that. So I would, they will go through the lectures that will equip them with or they will refresh the rules that they need for this. Then I also create this vocabulary refresher with Quizlet, where interactively they can practice that. Then I have some practice tests that are digitized and they give immediate feedback. So whenever, after the students have watched the lectures of what they're supposed to know ahead of time or refresh, then they can practice. They have unlimited attempts to go through practice exams. And then once they practice, then there is an assessment that tests their knowledge up to that point. And what's great about this is, since this was, we built this content specifically for this class, the assessment pulls from the same banks, right? From the same place where the practice test came from. And so in that way, everything looks familiar. They've practiced, and once they have to take the assessment, if they practice, right, the way their students are supposed to do, they will do really well on the assessment. And then so we prepare the foundation. Okay, what do you need to know? Because again, this is the legal, the context is you are an attorney or paralegal or a law student. You cannot just not know what's going on and just kind of be confused. And so we're working on precision as well. So they will have that foundation of proper rules. And then from there on, we start building on conversation. and then we have a written exercise, and then we have and then we have at the end reading and cultural components. So students always in every single module will have multiple opportunities to speak. I create different prompts where they will practice conversation. Like one of them will be the attorney, the other one will be the client. So they go through that exchange, and remember, they've already practiced the grammar they needed for that, how to ask questions, all the key vocabulary that they need. And then they're going to show that in their conversation, and then I give feedback. Okay, here you should have been formal. Here you mix the two main verbs, said and estar. Here you forgot to do something. So I give feedback. And then, of course, as we build their skills, they start writing. So I may ask them to write an initial email response to the client, and I build that skill. And then they try, to compose without using electronic translators. They turn it in. I take my green pen, not the red pen, but a green pen, not to get intimidated, and I start correcting in great detail. Then I return that, and then students will have the chance to revise that. So it's really a lot of every different skill is being practiced. So we go through grammar, we go through drills, refresh vocabulary, conversations. Then we meet, then we do some different activities depending on the needs of the cohort or the class. Then they write, I correct, I give feedback. Then they have some little reading comprehension with some cultural components, because reading is very important. Not necessarily, we don't read law, I don't teach law, but something that's related and sort of, again, emphasize on the vocabulary that's important. As we go through the modules, then the students have opportunities to listen to native speakers that I have interviewed that talk about different Spanish-speaking countries, and then they practice their hearing, different accents, and then reply to some questions. We have this program, Talk Abroad, that maybe I'll talk again later on. But those are interviews with native speakers that are actually abroad that we schedule. And then we have some hypos to where, they're the attorneys and the native speakers are the clients. And then they have to go through the motion later on after, module 4 or 5 to actually see, okay, this is an actual native speaker in a different country, or we pretend he or she is your client. And okay, and then they really have to show progress. And then, of course, as time goes by, the writing becomes a lot more sophisticated. So we start with, quick response to an intake question, then an email, then a formal letter. And then the final writing is a retainer, basically a contract where all the, different things are being discussed. And then at that point, students are able to use present tense, some past tense if necessary, some hypothetical sentences, even the present subjunctive. So by the time they get to, finish module 7, they really have improved their level of, or their, the level of sophistication of their skills has improved greatly. And they can really on their own write a sample contract. And also the final interview with a native speaker, not with me, also reveals how they can carry conversation at that point if someone shows up at their office and they don't really want to rely on an interpreter.
Alrighty, thank you so much for going through all that and giving a really good overview of everything the student's gonna learn and kind of go through in that process. And then we just wanted to take a minute or two and kind of discuss who this program is really for. What type of person do you see taking the program? What kind of person do you think could really benefit from taking this program?
Yes. So yes. So my first thought, initially I thought this is for, as I think I mentioned it earlier, non-native speakers that have taken a few semesters in when they were going to college, or they studied for years, but just really never made progress, probably because they were not taught properly. It's some kind of like memorizing vocabulary from lists or doing some drills and then not really applying. So that was initially, but then as I said, not that I wish for those students, meaning I never really thought that anyone that's a heritage speaker or native speaker will want to take this class, but I've had a lot of heritage speakers, so individuals who grew up with Spanish, and they really enjoyed the program. And so I would say, but why are you signing up? And they're like, I really want to. I want to formalize it, or I want to understand the rules, because they let's say they have heard it and they kind of know that it's true, and sometimes they make mistakes, but they don't want to just kind of like blindly use Spanish. They just really want to know the formal way, and perhaps improve their writing in some cases. So I would say someone that has had one or two, at least 1-2 better semesters of Spanish in college, or someone that's been taking it throughout high school, but didn't really make any progress. And then any heritage speakers that they're heritage speakers, but they've never really studied it formally, or they feel like maybe one skill is lacking, and usually that's not going to be speaking, right? Because they grew up, let's say, speaking it in an informal situation, but they would like to, kind of like see at the end, okay, can I write a contract, or is my grammar correct? Where, working on accents and all that. Because again, they're not getting ready to go on an excursion, or travel and prepare for their travels. They're getting ready to maybe work on some document, or reply to an important client, and they cannot afford to have spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes or any conjugation or missing accents, right? So we're going to work on the practical aspect of it, things that they can use immediately at work, at the office. And then the second thing is, because the context is legal, just working on precision. So I've had a lot of native speakers, heritage speakers, law students, that maybe have a minor or major in Spanish, but then again, they've never really used it in a professional setting. So they had the theory, but they just had no practical experience of actually talking to someone in a professional environment, or writing on their own, something that's a bit more sophisticated. So I think attorneys, paralegals, volunteers in legal clinics, law students. We've had marketing professionals that either market their own family firm, that let's say they're not the attorney, but the parent is, or the spouse is. Or we've had marketing professionals of big firms that work with attorneys, and they just kind of want to know what the attorneys go through. So any of those professionals. And then when it comes to their Spanish level, as I said, they should have some background. Like they cannot never, study Spanish, and probably, unless they're, language geniuses, maybe, but it will be tough and they'll have to spend a lot of time studying. So a semester or two, ideally, or a heritage speaker that wants to formalize their knowledge.
Perfect. And if your employer's paying, just let us know. We can definitely work through that payment, send an invoice. We have military benefits as well. So if you wanted to use the GI Bill, or any type of military funding, and you want to know if it's approved through us, just reach out and we can get you connected with our Veterans Benefits Director. Then if you have any questions, be sure to email us directly at smupro@smu.edu, or give us a phone call at 214-768-5581. That covers our main content. Mira, did you have anything else you'd like to add?
I think that usually a question is if students need to buy any textbooks. No, there's no need to buy a textbook for the program, because we have video lectures. Each module starts with a video lecture with different, slideshows that they can download and listen to. In addition, just as a courtesy, I've created a Quizlet account for all my cohorts that I think students enjoy a lot, and that's free, because usually there's a question, do I need to create a paid account for Quizlet, once they start reading what they need for the course? No, Quizlet is free. There's no need to pay for a textbook. And then the only thing that because we don't immediately start using Talk Abroad. Talk Abroad is a third-party platform that provides us with native speakers. So each student is able to sign up for an interview, schedule an interview. We have a couple of attorneys that actually work for Talk Abroad. So a lot of the participants in this program have actually scheduled interviews either with a practicing attorney in a Spanish-speaking country or a law student, which they're for them law school is undergrad, so they're a bit younger, but it doesn't matter. Or someone in politics. So participants will be able to select the native speakers based on, well, either schedule or which country they are from, or I always say go for the attorneys, right? Because the conversations are super interesting, at least the informal part. And that's the only thing that they have to pay extra for the two conversations that come a little bit later, once everyone feels a bit more confident and I kind of know everyone's level, and I prep them for that, like the questions they need to prepare, any hypos, that I prepare. Okay, you guys, the students are the attorney always, because that's what you're going to do in life, right? Or you're the legal professional, so the native speakers will be your clients. And so sometimes it's a bit, it's a fake situation, but it doesn't matter because we're practicing. But then I also give them a chance to speak, just to practice their language skills, where we forget about the whole roles of an attorney client.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for all of that, Mira, and for coming on and giving us some additional information today. Again, if anyone has any questions, please do email us at smupro@smu.edu, and we hope to see you in our online classroom soon.
Thank you.